Hi, it's Kayla again, and this week we're going to be talking about foods that can help support us through PMS and the hormonal fluctuations we have at the end of our luteal phase, right before we hit our menstrual phase, that can look like PMS symptoms. But at the end of this video, you'll walk away with a few staple foods that you'll know how to use for supporting your body. If you like this video, I would love if you would give it a thumbs up. It'll tell me that you like this type of content, and I'll make more videos similar to this one. Okay, so let's dig in. So the first thing is to reduce inflammatory foods. Some people might not know what these are. Primarily, these are going to be grains. These are going to include corn, wheat, rice, even things like quinoa, millet, sometimes. And the reason is that grains are really something that was a staple food for us to get through times where we didn't have the ability to grow fresh food. So that's what ancient cultures used them for. That's how they became these storage grains. They became staples in our diet. And right now we're able to grow quite a bit of them. And so because of that, we have a lesser dependence naturally in our culture for fresh foods. So pulling some of those out, or at least reducing them, at least during this time, because our body hormonally is not primed to process carbohydrates in grains and in those types of foods. So they can be a little bit more inflammatory. Dairy is also an inflammatory food. So things like milk and cheese and sour cream and yogurt. Opting for plant-based options will be able to help reduce the inflammation that our body is going through and allow us to be able to provide it with a little bit more options that are going to support our mood, support our symptoms that we're going through, whether that be anxiety or depression or acne or bloatiness. And I'll share with you some of these types of plant-based products are going to be made with ingredients that I'll talk about at the end of the video. So it'll tell you a little bit more about why I'm using those as proponents for dairy replacements. Also, these reducing inflammatory foods is going to really help with protecting our gut health. And when we have our intestine working properly, it's going to be the main place that we are eliminating our hormones. So during our luteal phase, we are drastically having crashes in some of our hormones like progesterone and estrogen that can lead to this type of moodiness that we can experience that we call PMS, as well as some of those physical symptoms like water retention, and sometimes we even get disrupted digestion during this time. So our estrogen is one of the things that's going to drastically decrease, and we remove that in our bile. So supporting our digestion with foods that are going to be fiber rich is really important, and reducing inflammatory foods will help our body be able to digest things well and keep things moving. And kind of last on this topic is when we reduce inflammatory foods, we reduce the inflammation in our gut and in our large intestine. Doing that can really help with moodiness. So not only can those foods irritate our gut, we have a network of nerves that intertwine with our large intestine that connect up with our brain and our spinal cord, and that can cause moodiness. So if our gut is irritated, we can be irritated. So those are things that are going to help kind of naturally reduce the amount of irritation in the gut, and then therefore help us support a healthy mood as well. This is a transition. It's a transition period for our body. And so allowing ourselves the time and space for that, and making sure that when we're eating, like I said, eating fiber-rich foods, that's going to allow for our body to have a sustained blood sugar level. And if we don't have a sustained blood sugar level, like I said, our body during this time is not hormonally primed for digesting complex carbohydrates. And as a result, that's going to cause our body to have a little bit more of hypoglycemia, hyperglycemia fluctuations, which also can cause some mood fluctuations. So eating fiber-rich things that are anti-inflammatory that's kind of the basis of what we're going with here. So we're going to dive a little layer deeper, and we're going to talk about a few other foods now. Next is reducing sugar. And so sugar, like I talked about, our glucose levels aren't going to be able to be as well regulated because of our hormonal influence in our luteal phase. And so reducing our sugar intake can allow our body to go into a place where it's just using the foods that we're getting and digesting as more complex carbohydrates, although we're not suited for carbohydrate digestion and fuel use as well. Using that as a base can really help, because complex carbohydrates will take longer to break down, and that means that it'll have a more level blood glucose level. So our fluctuation won't be as large, and that can help with managing our mood and reducing PMS symptoms as well. Now, next I'm going to talk about estrogen detoxification. Some people struggle with having too much estrogen, and this is kind of the time where that becomes present and they become aware of it. Bloatiness, tender breasts, acne, those are all signs of high estrogen levels most of the time. Not in every case, sometimes they can be signs of other things, but a lot of the time that is what's happening. And so what we can do is eating foods that have DIM, it's D-I-M, it's a very long chemical name that I'll probably put down here, but that is present in brassica family vegetables, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, and all of those things. So it's going to support liver detoxification in the phase 2 of our liver. So our liver has 2 phases of detoxification, phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 2 is what helps remove the estrogen from our body. And so phase 1 kind of prepares things, and then phase 2 is what actually helps get them out. So DIM is going to help speed up phase 2 detoxification and allow for estrogen to be removed from our body at a faster rate. So if we are struggling with high estrogen symptoms of PMS, then that can really help by priming our body with these foods that have a component of them that will help our body naturally eliminate that a little bit better. And now PMS is premenstrual syndrome, is what people call it. But what can also happen is cramps around this time, and we're also preparing to go into our menstrual cycle. And so beets are a really great food for blood flow, as well as some nitric oxide. So that is going to be something that beets don't actually have in it, but it's going to help with production of that. And what nitric oxide does is it can calm our smooth muscle down. And so it sends a signal to our body to calm smooth muscle. That puts us in a rest and digest state for our immune system, for our body, for our innate immune system. Is going to put us into that type of mentality, which will more likely support a balanced mood, and it will prepare us for menstruation. So it's going to, like I said, increase blood flow. Increased blood flow is going to allow for our uterus and for our abdomen to be able to get ample blood flow for prevention of cramps, because some muscle cramps can be caused by not enough blood flow to that area, not enough oxygen, and therefore the muscle cramps down in order to kind of pump blood to that area for the muscles to be able to get enough nutrition and oxygen and all the things that they need. And so last I'm going to talk about vitamin E. Now there are multiple foods that contain vitamin E that I'm going to talk about where we can get this from. But vitamin E has studies and research that I'll link in the description that show that it is helpful in supporting mood. And so vitamin E can help balance things. It's a fat-soluble vitamin. And so what that means is it requires fat in order for our body to put it to use. So that's why it's going to come in a package like a nut or like a seed or like avocados. So I do want to state that someone should not supplement with vitamin E if they're planning to get pregnant. It has been shown to cause low birth weights. So I would just keep that in mind, just as a little disclaimer there. But vitamin E can help balance our mood. And so the reason that I talked about at the beginning of this video, some foods that might be able to be transitioned from dairy to plant-based, is because cashews and almonds are really great sources of vitamin E. And a lot of plant-based dairy products like yogurt, cream cheese, or sour cream are made out of almonds or cashews. So finding products during that time where you might be transitioning into your luteal phase, the last 2 weeks of your menstrual cycle, that might be a great time to opt for almond milk yogurt or putting cashew milk in your smoothie instead of opting for cow's milk or goat's milk or something like that. So that way you have a little bit more vitamin E in your diet. It's a natural source that your body can put to use, and you know that it has other micronutrients that might affect its absorption rather than supplementing it. And kind of last on this vitamin E area, I wanted to mention seed cycling. I've used seed cycling myself, and I actually really felt like it helped with my PMS symptoms, my moodiness. I did see for myself a little bit of signs of excess estrogen, so I don't do it all the time just because I get different symptoms based on some of those things, and I'm trying to pinpoint which of those seeds might be best for me. So for you, you might want to try the same thing, and sunflower seeds and sesame seeds are usually what's used in the luteal phase. They both have vitamin E, and they are going to help with stopping estrogen production and supporting progesterone production. And so progesterone production is the hormone that is going to help keep us calm and balanced. So that's just part of what they're used for in seed cycling and how that can help with managing PMS symptoms as well. So almonds, cashews, avocados, sunflower seeds, and sesame seeds are all really great sources of vitamin E. So I hope this is helpful in you finding some foods that might be able to help with mellowing out that PMS symptom that you're struggling with. And I hope this was helpful. And until next time, be well.